If you want a marketing plan 101, it's this.
There are some people out there as well that are like in our field selling things they shouldn't be selling, right? So like there is a feeling of like, just because we're happy for like other good people to get business doesn't mean we should not be marketing ourselves and selling ourselves as hard as we should be because we believe in what we do.
There is someone out there right now getting paid good money and doing a shitter job than you would because you just didn't even put your hand up.
Thank you very much for coming on.
We're
keen to have you on. I think there's a lot of different areas we can talk to, but for the people listening, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Jemimah Ashleigh. I have a couple of companies. I'm most well known for the company, The Visibility Lab. I'm a podcast host. I'm an international bestselling author. I'm a speaker. I am about all things visibility and getting businesses seen.
Awesome. What does being seen look like?
Yeah, great question. So I liken visibility and being seen to, have you ever played Monopoly or any of those things? So I like to think of it as like you're playing a game, right? When you're taking all the pieces, putting on the board. What happens is people are like, I don't need Instagram. You're taking pieces off the board. And I don't need to do Facebook. I don't need to do ads. I don't need to do speaking engagements. I don't need a book. You're just removing all the pieces. How the hell are you going to win the game? So it is for me like this metaphor of a game. Most people are doing things so badly, they haven't even pulled the rule books out. They don't know what they're doing. And they're playing over in the corner playing by themselves. Visibility for me, it's all about just like you got to be in the game. So for us, that looks like making sure that you have a clear personal brand. Who are you? What do you stand for? What are your values? Second, how's your social media? And for most businesses, it's terrible. Respectfully, they're trying to either sell stuff or just educate their people and not educate them well enough about what problem they solve and how they can help. Thirdly, it's about media and PR. It's around knowing that there is a 24-hour media cycle, that every day right now there is someone around the world that wants to learn about videography or photography or board games or visibility or Snapple juice. There is an expert out there about that. They're looking for them. You have the problem to be solved. Start to talk to those journalists. Getting around people who are smarter than you and knowing more that get coaching, get really good people around you. And then finally, winning awards and speaking engagements. Those 5 key things are that's our signature method of getting people seen, heard, and making an impact in whatever they're doing.
Interesting. It's so interesting the way you break that down. Like, I have always thought of marketing, and Joe, we've talked about this previously. Like, I don't love the word marketing because these days anyone can be a marketer in the eyes of get a million views and you're all of a sudden a marketer.
I can be an expert in helping you go viral. No, Susan, you did something stupid on TikTok. You're not great at it.
100%.
Yeah.
And like, I've always likened it to like the building industry.
Yeah.
Of like, I think a marketer is a person that can build the house and pull the trades together to get you that final outcome. And it's super interesting the way that you look at it like that with Monopoly, because I think that's on point.
Yeah. I think I would say that it's not building the house. I don't think marketers build the house. I think the person doing their job builds the house. I think the marketer is the person that gets people to turn up to buy it.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I think you've got a shit metaphor. That's all I'm saying.
No, I like it. I like the Monopoly.
Well, I
metaphor.
think you more so mean like the builder isn't the one that necessarily has to go and like do every single thing, but they understand how to bring in the electrician, the plumber. They understand how all of that works. They don't need to be the one that necessarily gets into the weeds of it all. But yeah, you've got a lot of electricians at the moment that are calling themselves builders.
Oh, definitely. And it's a interesting world to be in. Like, for so long, I feel like people, like in the creative industry, were like, go and build the retainers, go and get like 10 clients, get yourself to earn 20, 30 grand a month. Like, that's the sweet spot, have freedom. And it was always about niching in. Like, do as much of it as you can yourself, have good processes and like niche in.
Yeah.
And it's just not that anymore,
I think these things change with time. I think that how many people right now have bought a video camera and are sitting sort of at home being like, I'm a videographer now. No, you're not. That's nice to think that. These aren't protected terms, unfortunately. There are just people out there because, again, I've gone viral. I can help you go viral too. Buy my $20 book and I'll teach you how to become a millionaire. Well, Stan, you're trying to make us become millionaires by selling $20 books. I don't know if you're the first person to take advice from that. And I think in this fast food economy of anyone can be an expert with enough views and enough buys and enough, and I can get 1 million likes tomorrow if I just throw $80 at China. It's not that hard to do. So I think, the thing that will outwin all of that I think the thing that will outwin all of this is being good at your craft and also just knowing that you're going to have to do a little bit better than what you last did. I think the 10 number is really dangerous. Just 10 clients, just get this amount of money. Make sure you have this retainer. It's a method that is extremely cut and paste, but it takes nothing into account for what businesses are doing. How are you really going with this? 10 clients is lovely. 20 is better. Why are we only going for 10? And so dangerous because maybe you only need one if they're paying you $1 million a year.
I think, and it's understanding what kind of business you want as well, right? Like I think there's a lot of people that fantasize about the small business where it's like high paying, less clients, hardly any team.
Yeah.
I think the thing, I always hear that from people that are like, well, I suppose the two people I hear that from are the people that grew a team and did it poorly and now are super jaded about it and say that having a team is shit.
Team is terrible. You should never have a team. It's all bad. The micromanagers also. Those are ones that I see a lot of. No one can do it better than me.
Yeah.
You're getting the wrong people. Yeah. Everyone should be doing better than you. That's why they're there. Otherwise, you should be doing it.
100%. I actually saw a guy I used to work with did exactly that.
Yeah.
Grew a business, lots of team, super fast, and now is talking about how he shut it down, small team, all that sort of thing. But then there's I think the other side of people that are just they're starting out. They can't imagine having a team. They've never had one before, so they just dread it. I feel like you got to accept the cons that comes with that too. That it's like we were talking about earlier. If you get sick, that's and you can't work. Potentially, that's all your income gone, or you lose 2 to 3 clients, and you've only got 5 clients. That's half the clients.
Yeah,
gone.
that's your mortgage. That's now in jeopardy because you've got stuff to pay. Yeah,
there's a lot of risk that comes with all of those things as well. I find it interesting how you said the marketer isn't a protected term as well. So there's a lot of protected terms. Can't just call yourself a financial advisor. Doctor,
teacher. There are requirements to meet all of these as well.
I'm not saying we necessarily need to have that for marketer, but we've seen all the time. Marketers can do a lot of marketers, agencies, all these sort of things can do a lot of damage to small businesses where they lead them down the wrong path, have them hemorrhaging money, spending money on stuff they shouldn't be spending money on. It's it can be really dangerous.
Yeah, I always joked. So I dated a guy that ran a really painfully successful SEO company, and one of the best in the industry. Everyone, I'm not going to mention the name, but hey Pete, how are you? But I will say that the amount of money that was going through there was incredible. The amount of money and the work they were doing, incredible. I made a joke on our first date, which honestly I probably should have got a second date for this joke because I don't know who he is at that point. He barely knows who I am, right? And we had this conversation where he says, oh, so we're an SEO company. I'm like, oh, that's my scam job. If I ever had no morals, that's what I do. And he said, what? And I said, and it was just a kind of flippant off the cuff comment, but I was like, that's the job I would go. If I had no soul in me, I'd be like, guys, just so you know, your podcast will be number 1. I've got you. It's $3,000 a month, $5,000 up front for ad spend. We'll run the ads. We'll actually block you out of the ads so you can't see them. So we're just hitting your people. You win $78,000 and then just go to Bali for a month. And I said, that's my scam job. And he looked horrified. And he goes, well, because, and I said later when I he's like, that was such an off the cuff comment. And it was like, but he said later, it was so painfully true because that's what people did for a long time. It was just, if I can get 8, if you didn't care about your ethics and your morality and like doing anything to help anyone at all, what a great way to start. And he said it was just, they have to dig up from this culture of SEO does nothing and it doesn't work and all of those. And I think similarly for marketers like PR, videographers, how many people do you know that are like, oh, we'll do this $2,000 consultation, we'll do this one video and it'll be great and you'll go viral. And no, you won't. I'm sorry, no one can guarantee that. That's a terrible guarantee. And marketing, it's not a protected term. And I think there are a lot of people out there who have mild success. And I'm not saying, and I'm absolutely not discrediting anyone that's working on their craft to build, YouTube platforms or TikTok or Instagram or to become a content creator. That is a full-time job and I'm not discrediting that. What I am saying is you having some luck, and some of this is downright luck. And having a couple of things go viral doesn't mean you're an expert at this. You don't know how the TikTok stuff works. You don't know how the back end works. And I know you don't because no one knows. TikTok's so advanced in how they develop these apps that they have teams of people going back and forth of building sections, parts. That's exactly what Google does. It's exactly what Meta does. So you can't know how this works. You can't be an insider. Even they don't know how it works properly. And the people who are building this stuff don't know how it works properly.
It's interesting because like I see a lot of that through like the social media manager craze that's going on at the minute.
I've got Canva. I can do it.
Yeah. It kills me when I see like we have like just obligation free like discovery sessions with people. And they're like, oh, like look at my social media. I've got this person. Or like they're giving me all these templates to like have Canva graphics. And it's so simple. It's like, do you doom scroll? Like, this is a safe space. Do you doom scroll? Yeah, I doom scroll all the time. How often do you see a graphic come up in your feed?
Yeah.
So why are you posting graphics? You're not even looking at them. Like,
yeah.
And it's this whole craze at the minute. I feel like it's dying out now, but yeah, it's an interesting uprising in that space. But like to your point before, I think now like it's always been so important to be good at your craft, but it's no longer like a majority part of the equation. If you're looking at it that way, you've got to be good at your craft, but also have the ability to promote yourself.
Yeah.
And be confident in that, which has been a big thing for us in like, we knew what we were good at. And personally, I knew I was okay, but I've always had this whole like imposter syndrome going into business. That's sort of like the reason behind Recreate is I didn't think I was the best creative anymore. And I wanted to support, other people that were better than me.
I think there's a couple of points here. So yeah, I agree with you. I would use for the stationary posts. We still get our clients to do stationary posts, but you're not going to see them in the doom scroll. You're using them as a resume. This is social proof to what you do and that you're putting it out there because people aren't going to watch reels just to look at your resume. They want static stuff. So still continue to do the static stuff for sure, but don't make it your whole personality. It's not going to work for that. I totally agree with that. I will say that particularly when it comes down to being the best at what you do, and I love that you hit on imposter syndrome because I hear this a lot about people going, I feel like when you guys came together, started doing the podcast, did you have any idea what you were doing?
A little bit, but I mean, this is like we figured out a lot after like the first 5 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is also like the second podcast I've done and helped other people do other ones. So it's not
First one.
First one was crap.
Yeah. And it's not personal. You feel like an imposter because you are one. You have to remember there's going to come a time where you feel like an imposter because you're doing something for the first time. I remember the first time you drove a car. Like the first time by yourself, you got off your L's, you've done your P's for Aussie, shout out, g'day. But you've got your P's and you get in the car for the first time and you drive off the driveway. And historically, it's mum and dad waving politely at you as you drive down the driveway and your mum's like, hope they're all right. But you are by yourself for the first time. Do you remember the first time you drove a car alone by yourself? I remember driving down the road. I was in a town called Bairnsdale in Victoria. I left my mum's office. She looks horrified. I drive off down the road and I'm immediately being like, no one knows this is my first time doing this. I drove to your studio today and I can't tell you anything significant that happened, but I could give you a play-by-play of every part of that drive, particularly the first 10 minutes. I was an imposter at that moment, and it's heightened and it's so much and it feels terrifying. It's going for this, spending the day at the beach and you jump off the pier, and when you hit that water for the first time and we're at the Geelong Pier, we jump in, and for that first 10 seconds, it's like you can't breathe properly. Your heart rate's through the roof. Your body's not feeling great about it. In the next minute or two, your body's going to start to regulate. In the next 5 minutes, you're going to forget any discomfort. You're an imposter because you are one to start with. Whatever you do new is going to feel like that first time around.
I think creatives also get it, find it hard to get out of that though as well. Like even after the first time, like you could have been doing, I find a lot of videographers and photographers in particular as well are real perfectionists around what they think has to go out and everything. So it's sort of like, I mean, we've met a ton that are just like super talented and really just like, but they're way more talented than me, but a lot more insecure than me.
Yeah, and I think that's imposter syndrome in another shiny suit. You're going to figure out that I'm not great at this. I've got to be the best, and therefore imposter syndrome looks like perfectionism. And I'm sorry, but no one invites no one likes perfectionism. It's kind of a dick standing in a suit in a corner wearing shiny shoes. You don't want him at the pool party. There becomes a point where you have to go, done is better than perfect.
And that's with all things, I suppose, too.
Yeah.
Like your work that you're delivering to clients, but also the way that you showcase that in the background to your audience. I see that all the time with creatives. I've seen that with myself. Is like, I'll do a job and I'll be like, oh, I want to promote this, throw this out.
Yeah.
And you're like packaging it up. You're spending more time on that than you did the actual project, and it never goes anywhere, and then it sits in the files and it never gets used.
Yeah. And I think there's a real reason that places like the AI are really going to be extremely helpful just with that. Can you just check there's no typos? Can you just put this package together for me? This is what I'm thinking, to stop us from hitting that imposter syndrome, like I have to make this perfect. Joe, you've had the pleasure of, hear what I said there, of like speaking at one of my events, right? You came in and did a session with us, and one of the conversations that happened during that day was I run PowerPoints. We had, 40 people in the room. We had TV studios there. I'm flicking through PowerPoints. There were typos. I don't care about that. And don't get me wrong, there used to be a part of me that absolutely has a problem with that and goes like, I can't believe you gave all this information to people and you had a typo on that. And then this other part of me goes, no one noticed, no one cared, and everyone still had a great day. There are people out there that would ruin their day and take away from what actually happened, which was 40 people had a great time, pitched to television, you got to get some clients out of it, we had a great day, and we went to the pub afterwards. That was what truly happened. Or did it an extra R in thorough that I had like on there? I was like, thorough's up there, had an extra R in it. Which one really happened? Perfectionism is a dick. Honestly, it's just an arsehole and no one wants him at the pool party. So, I think it does stop us from doing things. I think it's also the idea that I have to be an expert 100% of the time. How exhausting.
How much of what you do feels like you're needing to coach people through that part? Because I can see how there would be clients like you've paved the pathway of like how to get featured on things and how to do everything, but they're maybe still going, I just don't know what to do, or they're kind of like saying all this other stuff, but really it's okay. You're coaching them it's okay to be seen.
I run towards this problem. Like I'm a big run towards the monster person. And I think that so many people that I get to have the opportunity to work with, by the time they're talking to me, they know they've got something valuable to say. By the time we're talking about that, they're aware that, and they have a bigger calling than this, that they want to tell more people, they want to solve more problems. Where people get really caught up is just by surprise usually. So I talk about imposter syndrome in every presentation I do, every time we do an intensive, anytime I've got like TV in the studio. We did one on keynotes the other week where we had a bunch of people coming to write keynotes. It was the 5th slide. Today at some point, this thing is going to turn up and kick you. And when it does, tell me and we'll have a rational conversation. The only way you're getting through getting your ass kicked by imposter syndrome and by that niggling self-doubt and those negative thoughts and the intrusive thoughts that we all get is by running towards it and going, I need to now address it full on, because otherwise it just becomes too hard to move. And it's just making friends with it a little bit and going, look, I get you trying to help me, but can you chill the fuck out? There's no saber-toothed tiger. Like, it looks like anxiety. There's no saber-toothed tiger here. I'm only being asked to write down a story. It's okay. And knowing that you got something valuable. I think we get a lot of clients who do have imposter syndrome in different degrees and different time it turns up. It still turns up for me occasionally, but I think it's acknowledging what it is just a safety mechanism. You're going to look like an idiot, which is what you're trying to learn. And there's a great power in not caring if you look like a silly goose occasionally. We
had a friend on the podcast a while ago who runs like a sales training business, Connor. And I really I liken a little bit to that. Like he said, like, because if you really believe in what you do, you have a duty to sell that service, or that product. Because like you're likely out there is probably, I saw one of your videos not that long ago recently, it was sort of like, there's someone way worse out there at what you do, getting on stages, podcasts.
And making good money doing
winning
it.
Winning awards.
Yeah.
And we've said this before as well, because there's times when we're very collaborative minded, that like, what is it? What did we say the other day? 23,000 businesses just in Geelong alone. We're not working with all of them. No. Like there is.
You don't want to work with all of them. Actually, that'd be terrible. You might have
be horrible.
Yeah, candles. You have to
Operational
give a
nightmare.
shit about. 80 staff members on board. Everyone's in tears. No one wants that, right?
No, and there's a lot of business to go around.
Yes.
At the same time, there are some people out there as well that are like in our field selling things they shouldn't be selling, right? So like there is a feeling of like, we do need to like, just because we're happy for like other good people to get business doesn't mean we should not be marketing ourselves and selling ourselves as hard as we should be because we believe in what we do, right? It's like, I don't know, I think about that a little bit in this whole being seen thing. That's kind of like people shell up because I think there's a little bit of too much focus on them, like how they feel like they're going to be perceived and worry about how they will come across.
Yeah, I think I definitely see that with some people for sure. I would say probably less so for our clients because like they're contacting the visibility lab. Like who do you think, what do you think we're going to do? This is about getting you visible. I have a lot of followers though that I think would definitely be feeling this sort of part to the journey. So there's a couple of things with this. So the first one is, yes, there is someone out there right now getting paid good money and doing a shitter job than you would because you just didn't even put your hand up. One of the conversations I have is around business awards. Well, my competitor keeps winning awards and I don't. And I say, well, show me your application. I never entered. I see a gap here that we could fill pretty quickly, actually, now you mention it, Steve. You'd be shocked to know we can get this fixed. The other thing that I see is people not having enough confidence in the problem that they solve. And so the first question, if you want a marketing plan 101, it's this. What problem do you solve? Who do you solve that problem for? And where are those people spending their physical time and their attention economy? What are they looking at their phone? And where are they already spending money? If you can name that and go, my name's Jemimah Ashleigh, I solve the problem of helping entrepreneurs who are really good at what they do, but not enough people know who they are, step into the spotlight and get seen. That's the clip. Like that's all they need to know. It doesn't matter how you do it. That's what we do. That's what we're going to do. And my ideal client is spending their time listening to podcasts like this. So guess what my time should be? Being on podcasts like this. if you can name those things and go, this is a problem and I solve, and I'm serious about it. I truly believe visibility is far more important than your skill set. Visibility will outwork skill set every single time. You can't be the best kept secret. You just can't. Otherwise, you're not going to make any money.
I feel like that's a hard thing sometimes for some creatives to hear. So I feel like a lot of creatives want to reject that as a statement. Whether that's that's I'm with you on this.
The numbers don't lie. Statistics don't lie on this. So, quick background story here. I'm a nerd. That's important to know here. My previous life is in government. And so I was an analyst, criminal intelligence analyst, totally true, for 13 years. And I loved my job. It was really interesting. But I learned a lot about statistics because I had to make business cases for where we would spend government dollars. So when I talk about why I think things, there is always a nerd reason behind it. So I moved house, as you know, a few months ago. And I, unfortunately, this is a true story, I broke my tooth, which is so dumb, and I broke it eating a hot jam donut. Again, not a joke. Don't know how I did it. It was pretty impressive, actually. But I have this problem now where I'm living in a new place in Melbourne, and I don't know a dentist. I went to Google. What do you think happened? Any guesses, gents?
When was the first one that popped up?
Well, it was a million that popped up and they're all ads. And I was like, well, how do you know who's good and who just goes and budget for $2,000 to run an SEO campaign?
Yeah, okay. So you jump on the socials.
Jumped on socials. I went to the residents of South Melbourne Facebook group and I was like, hey, I broke my tooth. I need a dentist urgently. Can anyone help? 50 people said Grey Street Dental, St Kilda. Guess where I go? They were great. They were cheap. They were this. They were really thorough. No pain.
Easy to find on social media. How to Google my business profile. Quickly could just...
And people everyone told me what it was. They were like, Grey Street Dental, off you go. And I have been there now for, they fixed the tooth and it was a $200 bill. And I was like, that's really cheap. Thanks very much. Parking was out the front. They were lovely. And they called the next day to check out, making sure I wasn't in any pain. Thank you. That's amazing. But 50 people saying the same thing beat every cent of SEO money, the $100,000 I saw on Google the day before. 78% of people would go to social media over Google. 78%. If you need something, the recommendations, you will see this all the time. I want to stay in a hotel in Thailand. Can anyone make a recommendation? Where would you I'm going to Phuket for 4 weeks. Where do you think I should go? I need a good electrician. Does anyone have anyone in this area? It is constant. And you're not going to put your stuff on socials because you might get judged, probably, or you don't know how to do it. Both of these are imposter syndrome, dressed up in other little suits.
To play devil's advocate a little bit there, though, like, are they getting those recommendations because they're good at what they do?
I wouldn't recommend someone I didn't like what they did. Ever. But I guess there are people out there who would just recommend their brother or their cousin or their friend. But it's an opportunity you wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
It's yours to ruin at that point. You don't have to be great at it. You just have to go and see how you go with it.
Yeah, I find it I mean, we see it all the time with a lot of networking groups and stuff as well. Like, you can see a lot of the same, like, people will just pop in there and just comment, tag, like, lots of businesses and stuff like that. So you're never really sure whether to trust one thing. So, like, I like this approach that you're mentioning around, like, there's Google, there's reviews, there's social, like, there's their socials,
yep,
as well as, like, going to a community page and getting, like, more feedback.
Yeah.
It kind of, all of it together makes up your decision.
I think this is where social proof, we have to really take it with a bit of a grain of salt. So in my scenario of the tooth, 50 people saying the same thing to me, and don't get me wrong, other places were mentioned, but the overwhelming majority said the same place. And I'm sure the other places had a good dentist too. I'm not saying that none of the other dentists were good. What I am saying is 50 people telling me one thing. If you're like, hey guys, there's a bear in there, don't go into the room, 50 people tell you that, I'm not opening the door. You know, I'm going to trust 50 people over someone going, no, go on. I mean, I'd want to look, but it's just me. What I will say is that what we're doing with creatives, there is a level of one person being tagged. And so I get tagged in a bunch of stuff all the time. We're looking for a PR release. We're looking for, we want to get a social media campaign done. Can anyone get me on this TV show? I would get tagged on those sort of things once a day in different Facebook groups. But when people are tagging me, they'll say, you've got to talk to Jemimah. She's amazing. They're going to tag my Facebook page, right? So you go to my Facebook page, and when you get there, it is treated as a business page the entire time. My banner is a photo of me looking lovely with all of my media all around it. Just the key ones like Channel 9, Channel 7, SBS, The Project. The big stuff is on there. Then there's links to everything. Here's the websites. Here's the things. My social media is planned and strategic where it's showing my expertise. It's building my CRM. It's showing personal stuff without being, dear diary, my boyfriend's an idiot. It's actually... here's a social photo of me with my nephew with no identifying characteristics, but straight under that is an education piece around this award is open. It's all planned. It's the weight of all of that combined. And if you aren't building that visibility structure to be seen, to be showcased as the expert, just to prove that what you're doing is cool, it doesn't matter how good you are. If no one knows who you are, how are you ever going to make money or make any impact? You can have the most beautiful art in the world and no one's going to see it. It's interesting the more you break it down. I mean, I've personally always looked at it through like the creative lens, and the more like the more and more I grow, the more and more I learn over the years, and especially with like more and more collaborating with Joba and his brain and just the way you think about things. It's really opened me up to just a whole different lens. So it's super interesting now hearing like the collaboration between us, right? And the way you look at things. And it's just that the work will take you so far, but the rest, you're really going to have to be known for what you do. There's a reason that if Stephen King writes a book, that it sells out. That same book can be released by a different author with no name. That same beautiful piece of work is in the world and no one knows about it.
What about though, because people get caught up, I've seen in, well, I don't want to just be known for, that one thing. Like I do all these other things, or I have this whole other service, or I have this whole other business, and they get so caught up in, well, I'm just not going to do any of it because, I don't want to pick one thing.
Yeah. Great. Brilliant. No one's going to know you for any of it though.
Exactly.
And and the next point to that, I don't only want to be known for that one thing, then talk about all of them. This is the kid overthinking going down the water slide, right? You don't want to be that kid. You don't want to be like, oh, I can't do anything, so I won't do anything. You're holding everyone else up. Either get out of the queue or off you go. You can't, you're missing your opportunity here. This is your shot. I know that sounds so cliche and a little bit Eminem/Hamilton remix here, but there is a moment here where this is your chance. And again, you're not helping anyone. You're not serving yourself or your craft. And there's no benefit to anyone for you overthinking this. A lot of it is, I don't want to fail at the back end. I'm too scared. I don't know. No, it's about the art. No, it's not, Steve. You'd be shocked to know that it's actually you just not wanting to be judged for the work that you're doing.
What about people that maybe put some of this sort of stuff on a pedestal, kind of in that like imposter syndrome thing in a way, right? Like I remember you mentioned the Visibility Lab around like you could get featured on Channel 9, Channel 7. Like you could be on those things. And I think for a lot of...
If you want, I'm not going to put a gun to your head, you know what I mean? Like I'm not going to yell if you don't do it. And you don't start there.
But I think people think they have to be famous to go on something like that, right?
Yeah, no. Have you ever watched a morning show? They're not pulling out, it's very rarely super famous people chilling out on those shows. It's always like we're crossing live to Stephen Crumben, who watched a break-in, and it's Steve's a character. You know what I mean? I don't think that that's true. So there's a couple of things with this. The first thing is Forbes isn't going to ring you. That's the first thing you need to know. Like if you're wanting to build a profile and, you know, Arts and Crafts Weekly or isn't going to call you directly, you're going to have to make an impression for them to call you. The second part to that is that I think that it's very easy to assume that, well, I don't want to do TV. Okay, you don't have to actually do TV. I'm not going to force you to do anything. Also, you have to start by doing very small, tiny little TV interviews to start with. You're going to start with small little backyard places. Gary Vee's not going to call you and ask you to be on the podcast next week. You're going to have to do a bit of work to get there for that. This is a muscle that's built over time. You are going to have to eat a lot of frogs to start with. You're going to have to be on a bunch of podcasts that have 19 downloads on average. You're going to have a lot of conversations with media that you aren't that interested in, but it's also a muscle that you get better at doing it and becomes second nature and part of your marketing strategy rather than an ego front thing that you have to do.
Interesting.
I feel like I'm annoying you guys. I'm like, I don't know about this.
No. I'm trying to think of like the next part. I think I'm just trying to think of all the things I think go through like the creative's head around this sort of stuff. That
For
like,
sure.
like yeah, from their
I tell you what's going through my head. It's like, how do you ever learn? Like, how do you ever learn? How do you ever get to that point? You know, as a creative.
Yeah.
Because like truthfully, there's parts of like going through my brain of like, shit, am I in that position? Are we in that position now? And it's just like, how do you ever learn to do that? Who's going to show you? Are they ever going to give you the time? Or how are you ever going to be in the position to have the amount of money to get that support?
I think the support's there much easier than you think it is. I mean, like again, I think we talked about this off air, but the diversification of, you know, even our company, we have a subscription model that's $30 a month, and we'll give you the keys to the castle. This stuff is extremely free everywhere. We're in a digital age where you could go to ChatGPT now for $30 a month and have it do 90% of your work for you. I just got Motion and it's telling me what to do every single day. It's kind of like having a supervisor, if you will. But most of the stuff is free. It's just about the time to implement and to go and put it in there. This isn't a $5,000 a month implementation. This is at most $500 a month. And the revenue that you'll bring in would be 10x that, because it's a marketing strategy that's built in a bit of a set and forget. And, you know, this is where my AFP brain kicks in, because it goes, well, policies and procedures, and do this in this order. This is a strategy, and this is how you do it. And that comes from, you can't arrest the person unless you've got the brief of evidence. If the brief of evidence isn't done, I'd love to keep the door down and get the person arrested now, right? But we have to go through this way of doing things. Is, you know, you have to have step-by-step processes to do things. It's very boring. And that also is, I think, another barrier to get people to do this stuff. I don't think it's that difficult to do this stuff. It's just not easy.
The other thing I think is like no one's going to knock on your door one day and say, hey, you're an expert now. Or, hey, you've reached the point where you may now you now have permission to promote yourself, for people to invest in you, you know, like it's...
Yeah, people get triggered from the word expert, and I'll give you a real example of this. Many years ago, in about 2019, as like the Visibility Lab is in its kind of first iteration, I taught this all in person. This was the thing I did mostly abroad. In the US, I taught a lot of this stuff in person. COVID happened. Not sure if you guys caught that, but it all went online actually during that time. But my first iteration of this thing was a program called Make Me an Expert. We spent months, tens of thousands of dollars doing high visibility recordings, scripts. I wrote workbooks. I was so ready, and we released the course. Tell me how it went. How do you guys think it went?
By the sounds of it, it didn't go how you planned.
Fucking terribly. We had like 8 sales.
Wow.
We had tens of thousands of dollars being pushed onto it, and it was a $1,400 program. And I was like, I'm going to teach everyone to be an expert. No one saw themselves as an expert.
Huh.
They got so scared of the word. So we rebranded it and I re-recorded. So there's a few videos of me going, "Hi, welcome to Make Me a." It's like, make me, yeah, it was make me visible.
Right.
We rebranded it, which is the first brand and so it was a 12-week course, and we sold 1,000. And I was like, got it, expert. No one wanted the word. They're all scared of it. They're all terrified of the word expert. And no one's coming to tell you you're an expert. That's not going to happen. There just comes a time where if you know, and it was one person that told me this once, and it really stuck with me. I don't necessarily agree with just the one step. I think there's more steps involved, but he was like, you only have to be one step ahead to lead. And I was like, I want to be a few more steps ahead of that and that to lead, just for my comfort level, to really pave the way. But if I hadn't done something, I'm not comfortable coaching on it. If I have done it, I'm very comfortable coaching on it. But I will say, like, the expert thing, again, lots of people out there doing a shit job, not protected terms, doing a terrible job of what they do. And you're not doing anything because of the self-judgment.
I remember when I was working more so with like the coaching industry, there was a few people that I remember that were trying to coach other people in their lives, and they were genuinely in really bad spots.
Yeah.
Like they were, one guy was like homeless, like living with his parents, like not in a good way, had no money, like
I can solve
it
your
was
life problems.
Essentially a life coach. And I was like, this is wild.
It's dangerous. It's really dangerous. One of the first questions you should be asking of any coach that you work with has to have done more in this arena than you. And they have to have had their ass kicked in that arena, firstly. So do not talk to someone about winning an award if they haven't won any awards. Don't talk to a life coach. Like the first thing is like, have a successful marriage. If you've got a marriage coach out there being like, I'm going to help you save your relationship, but they're being divorced 8 times, I'd be asking some questions. How did we get here, Steve? What happened? How much money has your business coach made from running businesses? How much time have they saved you if they're a time productivity coach? How have you changed your life? They need to be living the examples of this. And again, this is where people can get fooled by, they've had 15 viral TikToks. Yeah, she's hot and 22. Of course she's had viral TikToks. That's just how that one works. Men, what we have to be doing is really careful of making sure we're asking the right questions. I met someone a little while ago who was a sobriety coach. And I went, how long have you been sober? And she's like, well, I'm just sober curious. So like I still drink at like events and stuff, but I never really had a problem with alcohol. So I'm just like, I just feel like I can help people be more sober. And I thought, if you don't know the tricks of the trade of what people go through in full-blown alcoholism, are you the best person for this? Like, it was just this. She's like, I saw the gap, so I ran with it. Dangerous, really dangerous.
And I think it's scary, like you're saying before, with like the time we're in with the advancement of AI and it really becoming largely available to people, is the need for like having a conversation with people is no longer the source of truth or a good measure of checking. Because we've all seen it now. Like you can have your Zoom open and you can have the whole thing transcribed and it can be giving you responses back.
Tips and tricks on how to respond to that question.
Exactly. And it's like that is no longer the check. It was always, the old school thinking, I'm never going to go on someone's website. I'm just going to give them a phone call and that's going to be my check. But you now never know. You never know what information are they getting fed by AI on their end. Not a lot of people are at that point yet, but it's going that way.
It's absolutely going that way. I've got a friend of mine a business partner of mine, who bought into a literal call center they'll make sales phone calls on your behalf. And his AI robot called me just to see if it was like they were practicing with it, and he rang. I was like, hey, what's up? And he's like, hey, how you doing? I was like, good, how are you? And it was like meant to just give me a friendly chat. And I threw an insult at him and he didn't come back with one. And that's when I knew something was up. Like, it didn't sound 100% right. Like, it didn't have, but again, I know this person quite intimately, and that's how I caught it. And I was like, what? Like, I was just really mean to him. And he was like, haha, how's your day going? I was like, ain't nothing, really? I didn't get a bite from that comment. A scathing indictment of your personality is like, haha, so how's your day going? What?
Like, interesting.
Okay. And then he's laughing in the background. He's like, oh, I've been done. Damn it. I've got to teach it to be a dick to you. And I was like, why is there two Bens? What's happening? Hi, Ben. Yeah, it was a really interesting phone conversation. I was like, again, but that's how I caught him, is from mannerisms, and I knew him intimately.
And that's just where we're at.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be doing, like, no, it's not this or that scenario. It's an and or. It's it's just an and scenario of like, you still need to do that, and you need to say to them, all right, now prove to me that you can do these things, and check they can get the results. It's never just that vibe check anymore.
Yeah, it's the social media. It's looking at what media wins have they had, what have they done. Again, going back to this visibility piece, it's going back to, and who else is in their corner? One of the things we talked about was like, who's around them, getting around people smarter than you. Who are the people that are going to vouch for them? I think
it was, sorry, go for it.
I was just going to say, I feel like the other thing with it, it's being in all these places, but then it's also like in those places, like in the interview, in the articles, on the social media, like you want to hear the story behind it as well. Like there's things like that, either someone has to like blatantly lie, which I feel like is kind of like the good part a little bit about AI, and a few things are like, it'll become harder to like blatantly lie too far away from the truth that can't be
instantly checked.
Yeah, that someone
That's
could
true.
find ways to check. So that I do like about it. But I think that's what it'll come down to, because like I'm way more interested in like, I think when skepticism comes into our space, you want to work with people that have like, they've been around for a while. They do have like you said, they've got people vouching for them.
Yeah.
Things like that are the things I think will stand out, which makes it a little bit harder for the person that's trying to start up from nothing.
Yeah.
But that's not
But that's where cheaper prices come in, and using your mates and getting testimonials and doing work for free. All the stuff we have done when we first got in the arena and started getting our asses kicked. The reason that we've been successful is because you have to have that time. I really love the movie A League of Their Own. Have you guys seen it? So there's a quote in it that I had on my desk for years, and I've still got it. I think it's in storage, but the quote is, if it was easy, everyone would do it. The hard is what makes it great. And yeah, you're right. It's going to be harder for kids coming through, but it's a lot harder for us than it was for 10 years ago. And it's a lot harder for the 10 years ago people from the 10 years before that. It's always going to be a little bit more difficult, but there'll be other things that make it worthwhile. So, AI is going to definitely make it harder, but also easier in many other ways. Edit this image. I've been turning myself into a Muppet all week. I've really enjoyed that. That's really fun, and sending it to everyone that will take my Muppet photos. It's very funny. Recommend you give that a go. That's a great little feature. What each person coming through next is going to have to learn is the same as us, that it's going to be the sum of everything that you do. It's a lot harder for us now in business because we have to have so many avenues that you're on. You have to have a Google page and have that updated, and you have to do events, and it's no longer one person directing everyone to you. Because again, everyone's could be a videographer now. Everyone's got a podcast.
It's an interesting time. I think you're right there. It's like, it's definitely going to be harder. Or it's probably as equal, but I suppose it's at the same time it's easier than it's ever been.
Yeah.
The cost of we've got the cost of a like a DSLR in your pocket now.
Yeah,
you've got the tools on how to learn it with GPT, and it's free.
Yeah,
you've got access to a $30 a month subscription, and you've got the plan laid out for you.
And honestly, multiple people pulling, they're not tracking that. You know what I mean? Like it can be a lot cheaper. And the step-by-step process of give me a marketing plan. Now, this is a videographer company. Spend the time and teach chat about yourself. There are ways in here that you can make it a lot easier on yourself. But also, I think, you know, to kind of full circle this back to the issue with creatives not wanting to put themselves out there for that, you're doing yourself a disservice. If you're not doing these things, this is a new way of doing business. And this is where I think collaboration is going to be extremely powerful moving forward, because you might be great at your business stuff, but can you do me a favor and get someone who's really great at the marketing, or bringing someone on board that's really great at creating social media content and using the other tools out there like ChatGPT to help you do these things.
And it's an interesting point you bring up, like collaboration. For us, we've done a lot of work in regards to like our core values and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's such a major part of who we think we are and what we want to be doing. And like in our industry, as you probably know, it's similar in yours, the whole gatekeeping of like, oh, I'm never going to show someone my presets. I'm never going to show someone my working file. And it's just like, it doesn't have to be that. You can coexist. You can share.
Yeah.
I can call up another video business in Geelong and say, I'm in a pickle.
We need some help.
I need some help. And they're not going to extort you.
It's collaboration over competition always. And I think that time of, it's not, you know, business isn't pie. You know, it's not like I bought a pie into the studio and it's like we can only have, it's not, we're not all fighting over this. We'll just pause the podcast while Joe dies in the corner.
Sorry, mate. Go again.
I don't know what I was talking about. No, I do. And for my next trick, I'm going to forget what I was saying. Collaboration, I think, is so important because we have just always been pitted against each other in business. Like, what you have to remember is, there's more businesses than ever before, but there's more businesses than ever before. They all need video, they all need social media, they all need visibility, whether they know it or not, they do. They'll come to you eventually. And sometimes at one point, you guys are going to price out where the new people can't afford you at all. And that should naturally happen with every business as you get better. But remember, 97% of startups, again, stats, a bit of a nerd, 97% of startups will fail in the first 5 years. So, again, just wait. Give it some time. The collaboration part, I think, is important to bring skill sets together. I think that the old way of doing, you know, looking at who's better at doing what is irrelevant. I think that you have to bring people together who are powerfully good at what they do and then seeing the gaps for what they are. And it's not blaming someone and being like, Job, your Instagram is shit. It's going, actually, we probably need to do better on Instagram. Let's bring someone in to do that.
And that's where like the real innovation happens.
Yeah.
Like when you really get those powerful minds together and be like, hey, we're definitely trying to hit the same market. What if we just collaboratively innovate together?
Yeah.
And so much, and understanding what you are good at and aren't good at, to make that really clear on who are good people. Like we've had things before of like, we are very open to collaborate, but like you said, there are, particularly in like our spaces, are people that are very closed off to that. They really see it as competition. And like we've had plenty of instances where like, and it's funny too, because stuff will come back to you as well, and you'll hear what other people are saying and go, and we've got a big thing. We actually said it the other day of like, look, we've heard this. We can, how we want to like, there's no need for us to respond or do anything about it. But the big thing that we said and even shared with the team was like, that's not how we want to do it. Because the reality is that stuff gets back to people, even if that's how other people want to talk and do business, to try to like, you know, talk shit on other people.
Like, snitches get stitches is what I'm hearing for sure.
Well,
we talk shit. I mean,
it always bites people in the art, and I feel like
karma's important. I think
it doesn't reflect well on you.
I'm a huge advocate for this really simple idea that, and it's one of our core values in our team, and it's something that our whole team discusses regularly, is that our side of the street is always going to be very clean. In PR, in the media world, like reputation is everything. Do what you say you're going to do. Follow in with what you're doing. If you fuck up, fix it. And so we have absolutely dropped balls before and said, and we're really sorry this press release hasn't hit the way that we wanted to. Here's what's happened. We're really sorry. Let's figure out a way forward. And sometimes that's refunding money. Sometimes that's having a really hard conversation and being like, also, you're part of the problem. I think we're going to end our relationship here. I've had someone who got really angry on a phone call just about the world, not at me. But I was like, you're not going to talk to my team like that. I'm out. Sorry. We're going to refund your money effective immediately. I'm going to do the right thing here. I'm not punishing you for being a bad human, but I'm just not having that energy in my life. But my side of the street is very clean. Like, you've known me for a long time. It's hard to talk smack about us because we'll run towards it. We'll be like, oh, we dropped a ball here. Let's fix it. I think also if you're out there with that bad energy, like legitimately on a very quantum physics level, if you're doing shit things, it's coming back at you. Just wait. Just wait. Those people who are definitely talking smack where they shouldn't be. Great. Let them. We'll see what happens. Tortoise in the hair. Yeah. Right. Let's use that fable.
Yeah. No, we're big on that. It all sorts itself in the long term. Just keep doing good stuff on your side
and collaborate with people who get it and get rid of the other people. And you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You're not, you can be the juiciest peach in the world, but not everyone likes peaches. Do your thing, do your own thing, stay in your own lane, get your stuff done. And just, I remember Oprah did an interview where she talked about people would come into her office all the time and say to her things like, oh my God, Sally Jessy Raphael or Ricky Lake is doing this, or I don't know, whoever else was the 90s queens on TV would come in, and she actually had to ban people from telling her anything. She's like, I don't care. You do not come in here telling us what the competition's doing at any point. We're staying our lane, eyes forward. I remember reading that thinking, that's a thing I want to do. I don't ever want to be looking at as people that do what we do. Not the same, different, no bad will to any of them. I'm not interested. This is what we do. We focus on what we're doing. Because the more time I'm spending on their shit, less is on mine.
I think there was I don't know if I wouldn't call it a meme, but it was a static post telling a story about how a lady working at Coke tried to go to Pepsi with the recipe or something and say like, hey, I want $15 million. I want to give you this thing. And Pepsi just like told Coke about it. And we're like, yeah, you've got this employee doing this thing. Like, because it's just like.
Yeah, just so you know this shit person's doing something shit.
Yeah. Like, it's just funny. It's like, we're Pepsi. We're not trying to be like.
yeah, we're not you, right?
Like,
we're not doing it.
Thanks for doing this. Thanks for trying to fucking blackmail, your company. What the hell?
Yeah, it's very and like just remember some of the stuff takes time. Coke's a great example of this. How many bottles did they sell in their first year? Does anyone know?
It's under 1,000, wasn't it?
No. Low, much lower. It's about 38 bottles in the first year. And it had real cocaine in it. Like that's all they sold. They sold like 28 billion last year of Coke products. Water, cans of Coke, bottles, cans, you name it. Again, it's not always a success at the start. Just wait. And again, the system, like it wasn't one person's not running Coca-Cola. There's not one person, you know what I mean? Like you have to have partners. You have to have collaborative efforts here. They have a marketing department. They do the best ads around. But yeah, I kind of love that there's one person who's like, I'll give it to him. Pepsi's like, actually, I'm just going to call the CEO and be like, absolutely not. We don't want that.
Nah, 100%. I think it, I don't know, it's always, I think anytime we've been told about things that have been said, and this isn't even just like recreate, like I've had that when, long ago and more so just freelancing. I'm sure you've probably had the same thing. Stuff always comes back to you. And I think it's like not that anything needs to happen from our side, but you hear it from the person they were trying to tell to, let's say, win their business or for whatever the purpose of like sharing it with them was. Like that person always kind of comes off like, didn't love they said this. Like I'm telling you, like, because it's come from people that like you're not even necessarily close with. That it's just like, and I say that more so like, I suppose for like, I feel like for creatives that are coming in, there can be a temptation to think that you have to that's a selling tactic. Like to win business, you need to paint yourself here and paint like your competitors here.
What a terrible sales idea. Like, what is it? I'm like, just going to talk shit about the other person. Immediately, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to give that other person a call and have a chat with them. I think that, you know, one of the questions I imagine that someone's got out there is immediately like, do you trust that information? If someone said that about you, should I believe it? The first thing is there's a litmus test over this. If it's harder for the person to tell you that than not tell you, it's probably true. For them to go out of your way and be like, I need to tell you something and I don't love doing this. One, I don't want to say it to your face. Two, I don't have that relationship where I feel like I need to. But three, you probably need to know what's been said. It's true. No one's making that stuff up if it's hard for you to hear and for them to say it. No one. But also, like, ripping down someone else's house, or at least trying to, like, all you're going to do is make people miserable, piss off other people in your own industry because the comments and conversations about you will not be coming back to you. That's the other thing to be mindful for. Your reputation will be burnt, and reputation is everything. I know people that can't work in Victoria because they've done some shady stuff, who could no longer, was a videographer, can't do any work, we'll talk offline, can't do any work in Australia, in Victoria anymore because of, it's $4,000. But it's multiple people who will now not shut up about this person ripping them off. Oops. Talk about cutting off your nose to spite your face. Are you joking? $4,000, you've ruined your entire reputation with multiple very influential people, wrong people to scam for $4,000.
I don't know how people sleep at night.
I would like to sleep at night, actually. I would rather be like, you know, I don't love that I had to pay someone $5,000 back of something, but I'm gonna get some really good sleep tonight because we did the right thing.
Like I'm second guessing delivering projects to like, is this the best possible work that I could be doing?
Yeah,
I don't need that over me to be like, I wonder if he's going to find out if I scammed him. Very different.
Do you guys
things.
want to open an SEO company? It's going to be terrible. Like I just, again, unethical. If I was doing it, that's how I do it. But
the one thing that is such a red flag for me now is just people that go, I just know this is going to work. Like when you're either having like a chat with another person you're going to collaborate with. It's like, or tell me some people you've done this with. Tell me how it works. Show me the data. I'm very data driven, given the fact I'm a creative as well.
Yeah, nerd.
Massive
Woo.
nerd. Yeah, like high five on that.
five.
And I just know. Like I just know it's going to work. So like you don't track results. You don't.
Yeah.
Like
I know this partnership's going to work, so we don't need to put anything in writing. Yes, you do. I don't need to have an NDA. They're not going to say anything. Yes, they will. And again, we've been in the arena for a while. We've had our asses kicked for a bit. We know that our asses are getting kicked occasionally. And I think there's this thing about being an entrepreneur. I was saying this the other day. Someone said to me, is it like having the kitchen on, it's like the toaster catches on fire every day. And I was like, no, because like, you know, the toaster's a risk. Being an entrepreneur feels like the sink catches fire. You're not sure how it's happened, but now you're going to have to deal with that. It's like, oh, the toaster's now on fire. Yeah, that seems about right.
Switching between all the different things.
Yeah.
It's never.
The salt and pepper shaker exploded. Didn't even know it could do that. You know, it's just like you're like.
Because if the toaster's getting on fire every fucking day, you throw the toaster out.
You try again. But suddenly now it's the sink, and then the plant's now exploded, and there's water leaking out of the oven. You're like, shouldn't even have water going out of it. But we've been in the arena so long that your ass get kicked and you don't even notice anymore. You're like. And it's no panic and it's not an issue, but you've learnt the lesson of you have to have the NDA in place, you have to have the contract in place, you have to have the agreement, that you've set up the company properly, that you know that even if you're only paying yourself $700 a week, the taxman needs to see it. If you're going for a loan, these are things that we know to be true. The new babies don't know that.
No, and I feel like they can also get sucked in, particularly if you read like Alex Hormozi's first book. Well, not first book, off $100 million offers, but whichever number book that is for him. People can think that they have to have like guarantees and overpromise and do all that sort of stuff. And I mean, you've just spoken there, like you've got some guarantees and statements and stuff like that, but you back them up.
Yeah.
I think like there's a lot of stuff in our space. I mean, particularly with like social media, it's like we can control what we will do. Some things on the other side, we cannot tell you that will work. And like, it's funny now, like even not that I ever really did that, but I do more work now to set expectations around like what may or may not happen. Because I think there's like some people as well that even without bad intent, don't know where some people's minds go with like what could happen. Like, because we've found there's a lot of people that will come to us sort of thinking that what we do is lead generation. So now we spot that really early on and just go like, hey, like, yeah, what are your goals? And some people say brand awareness,
the outcome might be lead generation, but that's not what we're doing exclusively. We're creating videos to help you with that. There is a difference here, for sure.
Yeah, and there's also way more variables around that. Like, so I was on a sales call the other day. There was a guy, business is on behalf of another business a bit bigger. He's got another business a bit smaller. Sort of talking on behalf of both. He's saying from the smaller business, and I was a little bit like, look, the things we're talking about doing based on the budget that you want for that, I really have to say like what things I'd probably suggest starting with first, because like what you want and what we will be able to do may just be a big discrepancy here. And I just want to like flag that really early. I just had to like, I was very cautious around everything I had to say to him so that he didn't sort of run away with the idea or misinterpret something as like, this is what I'm going to get.
Yeah, and I think, and Joe, we've done some work together, so I know that there's been conversations that we've had to have with, we've had multiple team members that we've worked on the same project for different businesses together, and a lot of the conversation is, okay, that's a terrible idea, but let us explain why that's not going to work. And so I think you have to have that. And again, that comes with age, and it comes from doing the thing and understanding how it works. It's great and there will be babies out there who are promising the world and then having to deliver the world because they made promises and they want to do what they're going to do. But, we've all learnt the lesson here, and probably everyone listening, not all dollars are created equal. And sometimes those dollars are like, you know what, for this $1,000 job, I don't want it. Actually, it's going to cost us X amount. I'm going to have to over-deliver, and they're already difficult. I have been on sales phone calls and realised just want to get that out of my system. Like that creaking was annoying me. I have been on sales calls and very early on clocked, there is going to be a problem here. You are difficult. I don't like you. You seem mean, you're crazy. All things I have dealt with. We've all had those phone calls and immediately gone, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I totally understand. Do you want to send an email through a proposal? I'll have a look at what you're after, and then just say, we can't deliver this. Well, here is a list of 5 other people that I don't like very much that you can go and talk to, because I'm not making you my friend's problems. Thanks. And it's just, you have to call it for what it is. We won't be able to meet these requirements. The timeline's too tight for us. We have competing priorities, but here's a recommendation for somebody else. And I think it's good that you can catch those, but there are a lot of people out there who haven't figured this stuff out yet and don't know yet that they haven't caught these things.
You've just got to be open to saying no. It's an interesting. I'm such a people pleaser.
Well, and early on, you had to be. You're like, you need that $5,000 contract. Actually, I'd like to pay myself some money. Otherwise, everything else is just going to bills. I may as well do it. And then you learn, and you're like, oh,
that $5,000 job actually cost me like 2 months of time and effort and
sleep wasn't a thing, and the person was a dick, and you had to deal with them, and it's all of that stuff that you don't realize. Yeah.
To the point before, I think it's interesting. Like, I've only just learning this in like the last 18 months. And I'm in business for about 9 years now, and it's like, people aren't going to die. Like, with what you're doing, is anyone going to die? Okay, no. Like, it's not that bad of a problem.
Yeah. My crisis response is, because I'm ex-law enforcement, no one died today, guys. Good day. Like, literally good day. Hard to rattle me for that reason. That, well, yeah, sure, the sink's on fire, but I didn't even know I could do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go for that run I promised to do myself. Like, again, no one's going to die for this stuff. And very rarely are there deadlines that we can't meet. And very rarely is there a deadline that I can't wiggle around by the right email and a phone call. You're in this situation where it's not that bad. And also the right thing will always find you. And I think especially when you've been doing it a while, you get a little bit callous on, I mean, it's going to sort itself out. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it'll be fine. But you have this moment of delulu a little bit where you're like, well, it's not what I thought it would be, but it'll be fine tomorrow. And it always has been.
Only if you're not a shit person and you're putting that, as long as you're, it's always funny the people that go like, how do you always manage to like, you always sort things out. Always just things fall in your laps. Like, yeah, because I'm not a fucking shit person.
I'm not hurting anyone.
I'm putting good
process.
out to the world.
Yeah.
And like the world is solving my problems.
All that sort of stuff, it all pays off long term. Like
100%.
Like what you were saying earlier, like, yeah, it's shit to have to give the refund, shit to have to like tell the client something didn't go how it wanted, but maybe this is how we're gonna like rectify it. I think as a client, like that's what you ask for. All you ask for is like honesty and transparency. Like
accountability. Just like, hey, what's going on with that? Let you know. And sometimes it's just having that, like, I emailed someone some work and I said, hey, I rang them really quickly and I said, I'm going to email some stuff. It's not everything, but that's because I've got something pending and I don't want to give it until it's all handed over. And he's like, oh, you didn't have to call. I was like, no, I do, because I don't want you to ever accuse me of not communicating with you. And this is like a $10,000 job. It's for a company that rhymes with, a car company that rhymes with Porsche, I guess. So I was like, I have to communicate pretty strongly with this person. He was like, no, it's fine. I trust you. And I was like, no, I'm going to make the calls. This is a thing that's going to happen, that I just want you to have a verbal in with me every couple of days so you know stuff's being done. And I think if you can do that, what a win. And I honestly think there is something about not being a terrible person, keeping your side of the street clean. Like, being the nice person isn't, and that doesn't mean not having boundaries. That doesn't mean like if you ask me for a refund tomorrow, I'll give it. I'm talking like we fuck up. We don't send something out. That doesn't look right. This has happened. We've locked them out of something. We make a mistake. You bet. Oh, I've changed my mind. Sorry, mate. T's and C's are over there. We will be charging you 30-day cancellation. Thanks. That's still happening. If we make the mistake, that's on us. Is this episode just going to be called, like, Don't Be a Shit Human?
It sounds like it. It literally sounds like it.
I reckon it will be. Well, I think we'll catch it there, because I reckon we'll probably have to do another one there's a lot more I want to ask you about your story and everything like that. But
yeah, we didn't do any of that. We're like, let's talk about your background, how you got into that. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's not be shit people.
I could honestly talk to you for hours. It's interesting how you look at the world. And clearly, like you said, you've been in the arena a long time and you've obviously learned a lot of things. So where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, key of being visible everywhere is like the big thing. So Jemimah Ashleigh on every platform. Go find me there. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, but jemimahashleigh.com. You can learn more about the Visibility Lab. Yeah, reach out. Come have a chat. Come talk about, tell me why I'm wrong, please. Love to hear from that.
And like for you leading up over the next couple months, next 12 months, what's one thing you're really excited about that
Yeah,
you want to let
I
someone
spent
know about?
okay, there's one thing I'm really excited about. I spent the last 18 months building a portal. So there's like 450 business awards in Australia that no one really knows exists. So what we built was a portal with every single award inside it. And we have like a ranking structure and a 1 out of 10, whether we recommend it, whether it's free, whether it's paid, cheat sheets on how to enter. And thus far, the 100 and something people that are in there, we've had 100% success rate of everyone being a finalist for an award. We've got it down to like a formula, and there's training videos in there as well. So we've made that out to the public now. So we've released that for $30 a month.
Wow.
So it's like my little baby, 18 months with Monash University. Thanks, Monash. You guys are the best. Yeah, she's going out into the world now. So
Well, congratulations.
she's got big girl pants on and she's out there doing her thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.